Rick, I want to say we kind of let this develop, see how the Democrats were going to take action as well. But I want to start off with this line of questioning because this idea from Ilhan Omar, it's not just rhetoric. She tied it to a much longer game plan, which is the International Criminal Court. And I think to just take her words as extremist rhetoric, which it is and should be condemned, but then forget what the longer term play, which is not so necessarily out of line with some in the Democratic Party and many on the left, which is ultimately to have the U.S. Join the ICC. So we see the condemnation coming out from the entire House Democrat leadership, but she still sits, Rick, on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. No Republican would ever be still sitting on that committee making any statements that would be considered racist, sexist, homophobic. The list goes on. And the Republican Party takes quick action. Not to take away from the voters. They get to choose who they want to send to Congress. But that vote does not include getting to pick what committees they sit on.
Yeah, and let's remember this is not her first time, right? She's had multiple chances now of really messing up here. We keep tripping over ourselves in the national media to give her yet another chance or another explanation. Remember, in talking about 9/11, she said some people did something, really minimizing 9/11. She's compared the United States to Hezbollah, Hamas, the Taliban now. It's a growing problem in the way she views America. She clearly doesn't like America being a leader. She wants us to be one of many. And so therefore, she jumps at the chance to highlight any problem as being a systematic problem. And that's where I really have the hardest time with her worldview, is that she doesn't think that America is exceptional. She doesn't think that we are the greatest. And look, it's fine for her to critique American policy, Israeli policy. We are all for it. This is a free country, and she gets to do that. But I think that it's really dangerous, and that she should be called out consistently when she's trying to blame America first for the world's problems. She's lost her perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I read the statement, and part of the reason I've been reading the statement more than even playing the long-winded audio, because that she put along with this statement and then her clarifications to take out. It doesn't, because what she immediately went to is, it's because I'm a Muslim, it's because I'm a woman, this list going on. And it's not. It's because of the words. It could be uttered by anyone, but I think more so possibly that, her life experience would inform her that these groups are not necessarily ones that you want to be living under control of, or society. Certainly her parents made that decision. That's why America exists, is for actual people who need refuge to be able to seek that refuge. The family did that. But the idea, she's sitting on those committees, she's getting briefings that other members of Congress aren't on our foreign policy, and it's tied to a bigger policy fight. Do you think if they don't move to actually say, okay, we're not going to let you be on this committee, and that's the strongest kind of action they can really take. They're empowering the rest of that group, but also this is kind of like the farthest of far left thinking, Rick, from the academic world, and it's starting to play out now in reality in Congress.
Well, let's talk about a little bit of the good news. She's been able to unite Republicans and Democrats, sadly, against her. And now we have Democrats condemning her actions. Now, it's taken way too long. Let's be very honest about that. But it's also good news, is that they're feeling empowered. They're feeling like they have to condemn her. They're obviously walking on thin ice, and they're very careful in how they're condemning her. But make no mistake, Jordan, this is a very big deal when the leadership of the Democratic Party is calling out her words. And she, of course, did what every progressive does. And I was glad to see that Nancy Pelosi and the leadership got a little taste of what they usually throw around, is, immediately she says, oh, you're sexist or you're Islamophobic. And as you point out, it has nothing to do with her gender or her religion. It has everything to do with her equating morally the Taliban, Hamas, Hezbollah with the United States of America, which really, honestly, angers me because somebody in her position should know. Maybe we got to put it into a better perspective for her. Let's see what the Palestinian position is on climate change and gay rights, and just those two progressive issues. Let's match uh, Palestinian Authority with Israel or America. She will see a dramatic difference. And so I think that this is the beginning of a problem for her in Congress. The leadership has called her out. She's probably not going to have much power for a little while, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good thing, and it'd be a good thing for the country, looking past the partisan politics, especially on these kind of committees that wield this influence. I want to go to Rick that we're seeing President Biden's first foreign trip. We're not getting the press conferences. We're not getting a lot of question back and forth. So again, there's some speeches, there's been some criticism. The Joint Chiefs saying that climate change was the number one issue. But past that, and the fact that they won't let us the questions, there was already talk just in the UK alone of the fact there's been the ambassadors. All these that they're just sitting empty. As a former ambassador to Germany, he's making this first foreign trip. He wants to re-engage the world. They talk about these big issues as if we weren't engaged in the world, but they're not putting the ambassadors forward. Those again, do you see any explanation for why? I mean, this doesn't seem to be in line with them. Usually, the more you can add on, the better, and move it through Congress. But it's not. They're not even. I think in the UK report they weren't even floating names yet.
Yeah, look, President Biden is visiting multiple countries, and every place he's going, Switzerland, the UK, NATO, Belgium, we don't have an American representative. We don't even have an American nominated. There's not even names out there. And now we've got the announcement that Chancellor Merkel is coming to the United States. Again, he's met with the South Korean president. We don't have a South Korean ambassador. Germany coming. We don't have a German ambassador. We don't have a Japanese ambassador, and he's met with the Japanese. Look, this is a real problem. In the Trump administration, we had David Friedman announced, confirmed, and in Jerusalem by May 15th. So for all of the criticism that the media in D.C. made of the Trump diplomacy team, the Trump team is doing way better than Joe Biden. And yet Joe Biden is getting away with saying diplomacy is back, is what Secretary Blinken is saying. This is a very big problem. And of course, there's a double standard in Washington when focusing on it.